What's up, guys? It's Captain Rich Production 72 back with another review of a Star Wars Revenge of the Sith set. And this is set 7251, Darth Vader's transformation, released in 2005 along with the movie Revenge of the Sith. So this is the second one of these we're doing, and this is a pretty cool one. That iconic scene where Anakin finally gets the suit in the movie. This is the first out of two renditions we've had, and personal note here, if we were getting the diorama sets here in 2025, which it appears we're not, how cool would this scene be for a diorama? I'm just pointing that out. But this is the original. The other one came out 12 years later in 2017. Wow, that's 8 years ago. But you get two technically free minifigures if you want to get technical, if you want to include that droid. But yeah, I mean, look at that instruction manual, is pretty cool. And this build, more or less, just with a few color changes, does appear in the Complete Saga cutscene, which is kind of cool. So let's jump into it with the minifigures in this set, of which I'll show the medical droid. I will remove it off the thing, but I'm personally not counting that as a minifigure. Maybe Brexit does, I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, the two figures you do get are Anakin and Vader. Let's get into those. And here is the first of the two minifigures. You have battle-damaged Anakin Skywalker. Now, this minifigure is essentially just the Anakin that was in the Anakin Starfighter and Vulture Droid, or an Interceptor and Vulture Droid, whatever we want to call it. And different head, and they've taken away his hairpiece, and you do not get any weapons for the minifigures in this set. But, pretty cool. It's it's a basic minifigure, but it does the job. I mean, yeah, there's no burn marks in the torso. You don't get any of that stuff, but it just looks... I'm someone who has a lot of nostalgia for retro Lego Star Wars, so maybe that's what it is. But to me, this minifigure is pretty good. I mean, you've got the other two versions in 2010 and then in 2017. But I really do like this. And if you do want to get technical, there is a other version of this that was contained in the back of Palpatine's shuttle, which I do have a review up of that. But decent enough minifigure, gets the job done. Let's move into Darth Vader, who's also a little bit peculiar in this set. And here is Darth Vader, who, as you can see, neither has a lightsaber or a cape. And a cool thing is, this one has a unique head print in this set as well. So his head, which it's a good thing Lego did this, because back in 05, I would maybe expect them to do it, given they already had a Vader face. They made it more or less match this one, which I really do like. As if it's healed slightly, but not quite. Obviously, in the real scene, his face was all oranged up, and they do that in later Vader minifigures. But, it's a pretty cool Darth Vader. It's got the retro torso print, which is kind of cool. But yeah, these minifigures are very basic. It is 2005, but these are still really cool minifigures. Let's get into the build, because that's kind of the main point of this set. And here is the set itself. Now, as promised, I will remove the medical droid briefly. Again, it's a pretty cool medical droid. This is the first rendition of a medical droid, to my knowledge. Now, there was other medical droids in that scene, which were included in later versions of the set. And of course, this, if you want to call it a minifigure, does get changed in future. We've got a spanner there, kind of a wrench maybe, a drill, a kind of the ice pick kind of hammer is pretty cool. But yeah, it's a decent enough little build. It's got a kind of trans red piece in there, which just kind of adds more detail. He goes on this little bit that kind of goes out, so you could have him further away, which wouldn't make much sense, or you can have him closer to where he's meant to be. But keeping that over there, this is the build. Now, it is all contained within a plate here, and these little bits at the back are kind of supposed maybe for detail, because they don't really add much function. But essentially, this and that is kind of what you got. So you got going up and down, side to side. And the way this set works, and it's kind of, there's other sets that work in a similar way. There's a carbon freezing chamber set from 2016, kind of works a similar way. So, on one side, you can have Anakin, you've got the medical droid, he's working on Anakin. And on the other side, right, you can have Darth Vader. And this is why they don't give you his cape and his lightsaber, because of the way they build. So you can have him working on Anakin, you can turn that round, and then you can have that whole cinematic scene where he rises up and, apparently falls over. If if you're not careful, which is something this set does do. But, you know, you're kind of more or less supposed to display it that way. Obviously, there's a playset first and foremost, but the whole point is, you know, the turning and the swiveling, which, you know, does work quite well. But let's get into the instruction manual. Now, something cool, and I mentioned this last week when I done the ATRT, and there's something that just isn't there anymore with LEGO instructions, is the art. Now, like that set, I don't own the box for this. Funny enough, I actually got the two of them in a bundle, but you can see that lava, you can see the Vader helmet in the corner, shows you the features, which is kind of cool. And, you know, I always thought that this scene, immediately, a couple of years ago when LEGO started doing dioramas, I thought initially that this, you know, this would make a great diorama scene. And here we are, 2025, Revenge of the Sith anniversary, and it appears we're not doing them. Kind of a shame. But, you know, on the back of this, pretty cool. An ad for LEGO Star Wars, the video game, which is what we got before the complete saga existed. Platforms are PlayStation 2, Xbox, Game Boy Advance, and PC CD-ROM. And, you know, this is a very nostalgic game. Going into it is a kind of a LEGO universe type ad. Just got to appreciate those other 2005 sets. I've already reviewed where is it? I've already reviewed the ATRT. Of course, you're watching the review of the Vader transformation. The next one of these reviewing Revenge of the Sith sets reviews, I would like to ideally get a hold of this set here and do it and try to do them in order, big or small. So I do have the turbo tank already lying around for that, along with the Grievous chase, and I need to rebuild the ARC 170, but there's that. Is there an alternative build, right? We need to double check for that. Yes, there is. Oh, it's an interesting one. So, of course, you got your features there, and here, so one of them is kind of like a radar station, and the other one is just like a full-on turret. That is just classic like Star Wars. Again, I've always thought about doing a little series where I tried to build those. Who knows? So, here is the ultimate question. Is this set worth buying 20 years later in 2025? Which is what I'm asking with all the original Episode 3 sets. This one, definitely, right? Yeah, you could go with that modern one where you get like the full platform and stuff for Vader and a little device that puts his helmet on. There is other options, heck. There's even that interior section of Palpatine's shuttle if you know, want something like that. But I really like this one. And, you know, on a shelf next to the other Revenge of the Sith sets from that era, which is kind of how I display it, it works really, really well. Not to mention the classic minifigures. And this set can be picked up pretty cheaply on eBay. Like, I got this in the ATRT I reviewed last week for, I think, 30 quid all in. I've seen this one go for 15 or 20. It just really depends, getting a good deal. But I really like it. Who knows, at some point maybe I'll review the modern version. I don't know yet. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys next week, because at the time of watching this, or this being up on YouTube, which is the 17th of June, next week, Tuesday the 24th, the room tour is coming out. So I'll see you guys in that video. Thank you very much for watching. If you've not seen my other Revenge of the Sith set reviews, check those out on the channel now.